First day of hero school. Not just any hero school either. No, it was the best in the country. UA High. The moment Akiko Fudo had been waiting for all her life. Well, at least it was a pretty big step in Akiko's life plan. It had started with getting a good quirk, training it with heroes by her side, getting recommended by her dad and heroes from the Fudo agency, and then she'd be in hero school. After that, her plan continued with exceeding in class, getting a license, and a lot more steps after. She knew what had to be done to get to the top, make her father and mom proud, and take over the agency at one point. Now Akiko stood in front of her new classroom in the school of her dreams. She checked again if the plate next to the room number really said 1B before she entered. Only 4 other students were already there 1 hour before their lesson would start. She would train with them for 3 years. First impressions were important, so Akiko straightened her back a little more as she gave a slight bow and a verbal,
"Hello."
The 4 in the room looked at her with interest before 3 of them stood up themselves to greet her. Funnily enough, they were all redheads, apart from the one girl sleeping in the last row. The first one that reached Akiko was a thin girl with 2 devil horns protruding from her pigtail-styled hair. She reached out her hand, and as soon as Akiko took it, she shook it with excitement.
Hey, new classmate! I am Akahana Himura. What's your name?
Taken by surprise from so much energy this early in the morning, Akiko struggled with her words.
Hello, Himura-san. I am Akiko Fudo, daughter of Katsuro Fudo, and, could you stop with the shaking? Stuttering. Great. Sounds for a good first impression.
The girl in front of her let go of Akiko's hand, seemingly only noticing now how much she had been shaking it.
Oops, sorry.
She giggled, without seeming regretful at all. Akiko cleared her throat to get back to her actual introduction.
Right, so, as I said already, my name is Akiko Fudo. My quirk is called Therianthropy.
She did not believe in her conversation partner knowing what that would mean, and was proven right immediately.
Jerry, what? Never heard of that before. What does it do?
Akahana asked with interest, looking Akiko up and down.
Also, I just gotta say, your cat earrings are adorable.
Wow, this girl gets distracted easily, doesn't she? Very one thing to note in my hero book later, a clear weakness. Yes, thank you for noticing them. I bought them just last
Who cares about earrings?
Akiko was interrupted, and Akahana shoved out of the way by a dragon? Green scales all over her body, spiky tail swinging agitated from side to side, and 2 bat-like wings proudly opened.
So she can fly and always has protective armor because of her scales? 2 good strengths for sure. Another thing to note down later.
Akiko thought while inspecting the mutant.
You guys are doing introductions, right?
The dragon asked with a grin, without waiting for an answer to her previously posed question.
Well, I am Kuraiko Kasai, Quark Dragon Body. Yep, pretty awesome, isn't it?
Seems she had noticed Akiko's curious stare.
It sure is. What can you quirk do, Kasai-san?
Kuraiko's slitted eyes gleamed like fire as she beamed at the question.
Oh, my quirk gives me a ton of battle advantages. I got great vision in the dark, can easily strike enemies with my long tail and sharp claws, and obviously, with these super awesome wings, I can even take to the sky and attack from above.
She proudly spread her wings out to their full size.
Very nice.
Akiko answered. She was impressed, but she wouldn't let her new classmate notice. Her dad had told her once to never reveal too much in a first meeting, and she thought that was quite smart. The dragon girl in front of her was having none of that, though.
It's way more than just nice. My quirk is super freaking awesome!
She boomed, punching the air with one of her arms.
So you agree?
Akiko raised her hands protectively in front of her chest.
I do.
Knew it. So, what was your quirk again?
Kuraiko cocked her head to the side. Next to her was Akahana, who had already gotten invested in a conversation with the other classmate that had gone up to greet Akiko. Once she heard the mention of the quirk having come up again, she whirled around.
I want to know too. You haven't explained it yet.
The boy she had been talking to also turned his attention to Akiko the moment his conversation partner had so suddenly hopped onto a different topic.
I too would be very much interested to learn about you, Fudo-san. Your reputation exceeds you, you know. I heard you've gotten in by recommendations. My name is Masashi Yasuda, as you surely want to know about my quirk as well. Before telling us about yours, it is called Emperor, and lets me command anyone as long as I look them in the eye, and all conditions are met. It is a pleasure to be working alongside you in this class.
For a moment, Akiko got lost in the new boy's multicolored eyes, before she quickly shook her head. This guy's quirk sure was fascinating. She had to ask him about those conditions later, to learn how the quirk truly worked.
It's nice to meet you too.
She glanced at the other two students.
All of you. So, about my quirk therianthropy. It basically lets me turn into any animal.
It was okay to leave out a few details, right? Surely over-explaining would get her nowhere with at least the dragon girl and the one with the devil horns. Did she already forget their names? Damn it. She had to write those down soon.
Wow! Any animal?
Kuraiko excitedly exclaimed with her hands balled into fists in front of her.
So cool! Can you show me?
Was this a good moment to display what she could do? Probably not. There was no one important watching, no teacher, no scout, except if they had cameras in every classroom. But she doubted that.
I'll show you another time. Let me get ready for class first.
Akiko dismissed the question. Kuraiko was clearly disappointed.
But it's such a cool quirk. If you can turn into a bird, we could even fly together.
The addressed girl had already started to walk past the 3-student crowd to find a seat, wanting to start noting things she had learned about her new classmates into her hero book.
Hey! Don't ignore me!
The dragon girl thundered as 2 boys, one having a blue bandana and the other having a small deer horn on his head, found the room at the same time, the loud noise making them peek in together first, before being greeted by a delighted Akahana. This whole situation made Masashi smile at his younger classmates as he sat down on the teacher's desk to observe the small chaos that ensued. Akahana had grabbed onto the hand of the blonde boy with the deer horn, which made him completely freeze up with open mouth and panicked eyes. The other boy had come in with him, tried to help, putting a calming hand on his shoulder and telling him,
Hey, everything's okay, dude.
A little shocked, Akahana let go of the deer boy, questioning what had happened. In the meantime, Kuraiko had dashed after Akiko, who had decided to sit down in the very last row, next to the only other girl in the room who was still sleeping, even with all the noise. Back here, Akiko thought, she would hopefully have her peace and quiet for notes. Kuraiko kicked a chair aside and slammed her hand down onto Akiko's table.
Hey! Red Stripe Girl! Don't just run!
I wasn't running.
Akiko answered, annoyed at how loud Kuraiko was being. If this continued, she would get another headache.
I was finding my seat. Also, my name is Akiko Fudo and not Red Stripe Girl.
Kuraiko narrowed her eyes, ignoring the last part of what Akiko had said.
Finding a seat while running, maybe.
A sigh escaped Akiko.
What do you want?
Well...
Kuraiko started, arms crossed. Then, a grin grew on her face.
I am challenging you to a fly-off.
A what?
This was definitely not something the orange-hair girl had expected.
A fly-off! We are gonna compete on who can reach a predetermined goal faster in flight. I bet you can't beat me.
She proudly threw her head back and puffed out her chest. This did not impress Akiko.
This is ridiculous. Why would we?
Then again, maybe a friendly competition would not be so bad. She could learn more about what this girl's dragon body could do. More data never hurt. It was desirable, actually.
We'll see about that. I'm quite fast in the air, you know.
She would definitely have a fighting chance, even if she did not know how fast Kuraiko truly was yet. It wasn't like anyone would be watching them, so she could test her own limits and learn about Kuraiko's at the same time. The answer certainly satisfied the dragon girl.
Awesome. Let's do it right after school. You can decide where we start and land. Winner gets a prize.
A prize?
Yep. Like the loser buying the winner teriyaki or something.
Well, that won't be a problem. Sure, sounds good too.
Suddenly, a loud crash sounded from the front of the classroom. A quick look revealed that a new student had come in and by accident fallen over someone's school bag. Masashi tried to help the new girl up, who was quite tall and had 3 eyes. Kuraiko ran forward, realizing that it had been her bag, with only an
Oh, shoot.
as a goodbye to Akiko. The school day had been quite eventful, and Akiko was still trying to remember all of her classmates' quirks and names. She had to ingrain them in her memory quick. Working with these people without knowing their names would be embarrassing and definitely not good for her reputation. She had been trying to write down at least a few notes about everyone today, even their teacher. At home, she would be able to make the pages of everyone prettier and study them closer. Good thing they had not gotten homework on their first day. However, before anything, there was a race to be completed. Kuraiko impatiently tapped her clawed foot on the rooftop they had decided to make their starting point.
So, you finally gonna show me what your quirk can do? I wanna see it.
Yes, of course. Let me show you.
And with that, Akiko closed her eyes and changed. This one wasn't hard. She had decided on transforming into a white-throated needletail. These birds were known to be the fastest when it came to horizontal flight. If she needed to dive later, she would be able to become a peregrine falcon mid-flight for that extra speed. This was something she had practiced a lot, so it would go smoothly. Her nose and mouth became a sharp beak, and her arms sprouted feathers. In just a few seconds, she had become a small aerodynamic bird which would be able to reach speeds up to 170 kilometers an hour. Kuraiko was starstruck.
Wow, that's so cool! You really can transform into a bird. You're so small now.
She bent down and reached out her hand carefully. Akiko, who did not want to be picked up and possibly, accidentally, squeezed to death, fluttered into the air and landed on Kuraiko's shoulder instead. Since she couldn't speak as most animals, including this one, she just chirped into Kuraiko's long ear to get her attention.
Seems like you're ready to start. Shall we then? Goal is the teriyaki man stand in Kihara Street, like we talked about earlier.
Akiko gave an affirmative whistle, which made Kuraiko get into a starting position.
All right then, on 3.
Akiko hopped off her classmate's shoulder and stood next to her, ready for the match.
1,
Came from Akiko to take part in the counting as she went up to the rooftop's edge.
and 3.
And with that, both of them leaped from the rooftop. Kuraiko was off faster than Akiko, who had the disadvantage of small feet, but it did not take long for either of them to be airborne. Kuraiko dashed through the sky, giving shouts of joy as the wind rushed through her wild red hair. In comparison, Akiko sailed through the air, using the wind and her now little body to her advantage. Only a few wing flaps were enough to propel her forward and give her a significant boost. She knew exactly which route to take to be at the food stand faster than her challenger. But as soon as she raced past Kuraiko, the other girl got serious, trying to catch up with her. To Akiko, it almost felt like having a big predatory animal right on her tail. But this was not her first rodeo. She knew how to evade and fly in a way the dragon would not be able to catch up with her. With one last swoop upwards, she let her wings glide to her side, which made her instantly dart down. Something Kuraiko sure hadn't expected. It didn't stop her from going after the bird, though, mirroring its movements and folding her wings close to her body.
How can such a small thing be this fast?
She wondered in awe. Akiko opened her wings back up only when she was already close to the ground. She sped over cars and in between houses. The streets became narrower the deeper into the city she went. She didn't look behind her, but hoped Kuraiko was still following. Maybe she could confuse the other girl, where she had to go by flying an unknown route, or at least slow her down through the size difference alone. In some places here, it could get difficult with bigger wings. She flew around another corner when she heard a scream from behind, which made her turn around in a very swift motion.
Help! The monster got my purse!
A lady shouted in wild hysteria. Akiko fluttered up and down in the air. She saw a tall guy with rocks extruding out of him, running from the scene, a pained expression on his face. But if she tried to stop him now, that could cost her her career. Without a hero license, how could she help? In a flash of red and green, Kuraiko dashed past the little confused bird, but not in the direction of the goal. Instead, she shot downwards like a bullet, hurtling directly into the purse snatcher. They crashed into the ground hard, almost taking two bystanders down with them. Kuraiko flashed her sharp teeth into the villain's face and tried holding him down with her claws. Panicked, the guy writhed under her grip. In a fit of pure anxiety, he was able to throw the dragon off of him by letting more rocks grow over his skin by the use of his quirk. Kuraiko landed on the pavement, but got up quickly, jumping into the air and letting her wings carry her. With a spin, she tried kicking the evildoer with her tail, missing him by a hair. In the meantime, Akiko was still thinking about what she should do. There was no other hero in sight. What if she just reported the criminal without doing anything else? The guy might get away now, but actual heroes could get to him later. That would be what she would do by law, the right thing. But the purse would be lost by then, and her classmate would probably be in deep trouble. The way things were looking, Kuraiko was the one needlessly attacking a civilian. What should she do? Akiko let her eyes wander the scene, observing it all from a bird's eye view. Her head was spinning, until she noticed the stolen purse on the ground. The villain must have dropped it in the middle of the fight. What if she just picked that up now and brought it to its rightful owner? The woman looked like she was already calling the emergency line. A few people gathered around her. No one would know it was Akiko if she swooped in as a bird and just dropped the bag. It was their best chance. Then she would just need to get Kuraiko away from the scene, somehow. Alright, should be doable. She gulped, but her mind was made up. To be able to grab the bag, she needed to be a bigger bird, and to avoid suspicion, it would need to be one that could usually be found in this area. So, her best option was a common carrion crow. The change was luckily not big, so she managed to do it mid-air, her bones changing, her feathers going from brown to black, and her beak becoming thicker in a matter of seconds. The only thing still differentiating her from a normal crow was the red stripe going from her head to her tail feathers. Akiko swooped down, her sights set on the purse lying on the side of the street. Pedestrians tried staying close to the walls, some with their phones out, filming the whole scene.
Idiots.
She thought as she sped past them and spread her claws out. Unerring, she grabbed the little bag and fluttered back upwards, almost getting hit by Kuraiko. She was jumping the villain again, not looking at her surroundings. Her focus was entirely on the stone guy, who trashed around her violently, more and more rocks coming from his body. He didn't even look like a human anymore. It was like a huge boulder was now rolling around on the street. Akiko let the purse fall in front of the woman, who looked up in surprise. Bystanders pointed at the crow that was sailing back towards the sky. Now, Akiko only had to get to the battle and somehow get Kuraiko away from the scene. But before she could, a bunch of threads enveloped the street and pulled the dragon and rock apart from each other. A slender figure walked calmly down the street, hands reaching out. It was the fiber hero, Best Jeanist.
What do we have here?
He asked, mouth not visible behind his high collar. Akiko inwardly cursed as she landed on a nearby rooftop to observe. She would not be able to help Kuraiko get out of this now that the dragon was apprehended together with the villain. Fortunately, for both UA students, the woman who had made the outcry about her purse and started the whole debacle in the first place came forward and started explaining how the rock guy was the one who had stolen her item and how Kuraiko had been the one to stop him from escaping.
Yeah, I just couldn't let this boulder get away.
The dragon girl exclaimed as Best Jeanist removed her restraints.
Well, even if I thank you for apprehending this evil doer, It does go against the law, miss.
Kuraiko's tail twitched, and she let one of her feet scratch over the ground.
I know, but helping is more important than what any old law says. He would have gotten away.
Even if that might be the case, law is still law. And from what I could see, defending was not the only thing you did here.
Kuraiko stared the hero in front of her down. Her tail was now swishing over the road, and her hands were balled into fists.
This isn't good.
Akiko thought, still on the rooftop. She had to go down there and de-escalate the situation. She sighed, thinking about how she would explain any of this if word somehow got to her dad. But before she could take any action, Kuraiko clicked her tongue and hissed out between her teeth.
Fine. It won't happen again.
Wow, not the reaction Akiko had expected. Kuraiko had struck her more the type to not let a subject drop, even in the face of someone in a higher position than her.
Good. Then we'll leave it at that, young lady.
He looked her up and down before adding,
About those rips and tears, though. Let me just mend them real quick.
He let a few threads fly elegantly through the air and wove them through the many holes in Kuraiko's clothes.
There. All better. You should take better care of your wear. Just a friendly reminder.
The dragon snorted, but kept her mouth shut.
I wish you a good day. But again, please leave the hero work to the actual heroes. You might not always get off this easily.
Yeah. Alright. Sorry for causing trouble. I'll be going.
With that, Kuraiko turned on her heel and walked down the street, arms tightly wrapped around herself and jaw clenched. Some pedestrians curiously watched her leave, taking steps back when she walked past. Once she was out of sight by turning around the corner, their attention was back on the hero in their midst. Akiko fluttered from the rooftop she had been perching on and went after her classmate. It didn't take long for her to catch up with the dragon girl. She landed right in front of her, causing Kuraiko to assume a battle stance. Right, this was her crow form. Akiko changed back into her real self. While transforming, Kuraiko already eased up.
Oh, it's just you. Guess our race kinda got interrupted.
Yeah, it did. You really pounded that villain.
Kuraiko grit her teeth.
Do you wanna chew me out too?
What? No,
Akiko sighed. Should she really give her honest opinion here? Controversial opinions could get her into trouble. Best to leave them in her head.
Just say it!
Kuraiko spit, her claws digging in between some scales on her arms.
I can take whatever you think of me. Believe it. Whatever you have to say can't be worse than what others have already said to me.
What was that supposed to imply? Akiko wondered.
No, really,
Out with it, Akiko. Don't keep her opposite waiting in a conversation. Always be to the point and direct when telling someone about their performance.
Her dad's words echoed in her mind.
Alright, I should just say it. I actually think you were the only one there that acted like a real hero should today. You sprung to action right away when you saw that woman needing help. It is quite admirable.
This made Kuraiko's jaw drop.
You mean it?
I do. I know the law wouldn't allow us to storm in, so I stayed behind. However, a real hero should help, should stop the criminal. I am honestly sorry for having been so useless back there. So much for being the one that got into UA through recommendations, am I right?
But what you did was important. Returning the bag to that lady. That should have been the objective from the start. I just got distracted by the thrill of the fight as always. I thought I could beat that guy easy, but I couldn't. He might have even won if that hero hadn't shown up. I am just the one that always causes more trouble for everyone in the end.
Kuraiko bit the inside of her cheek, tasting blood just a moment later.
I don't think so. You might be a little reckless, and your fighting technique still needs work, but you did the heroic thing and stopped the criminal from escaping. You were honestly quite cool back there.
Akiko smiled, hoping she had found the right words to say. Kuraiko looked her directly into the eyes.
You think so?
For sure. Dragons on their own are cool, but you brought it to another level today. If you just work a little on your technique, I think you would make for an amazing hero. I've seen many that would have been able to do less against a villain like that.
Thank you.
Kuraiko showed a toothy grin.
Normally, people don't one say anything like that to me.
Akiko raised one of her eyebrows.
What else would they say to a cool girl like you?
Oh, they mostly call me a rebel or a monster. Like I'm a villain or something.
She stared at the ground with intensity.
I am honestly sorry. I'm always causing trouble for everyone around me. This is just who I am.
Something in Akiko's heart hurt at those words. This was such a different side to the boisterous girl she had thought Kuraiko to be.
I know I just met you this morning, so I might not be the best person to say this, but I definitely don't see you as a monster. Dragons are awesome, and no one can tell me otherwise. The amalgamation of reptile and aerial animal is one of the coolest things people have come with ever. I wish I could turn into a dragon, but it's such a difficult combination to get right.
Wait. You can turn into mythical animals as well?
I can, if it's close enough to an existing animal. If it's something that's possible in evolution, it is possible to me.
She paused. Should Akiko really spill everything about her quirk? But Kuraiko was so easy to talk to. The dragon girl freely spoke about what was on her mind. There were no secrets, no manipulation. Could it really hurt?
Well, as long as the animal has bones. I need to change my own bones to become different animals.
Oh, damn. That sounds difficult. You must be very smart, huh?
I wouldn't say so. I just have to do a lot of research.
Studying? Ew. I doubt I could achieve the same things you do if I had your quirk.
We both have our uses.
Akiko mused. Enthusiastically, the dragon girl next to her stomped her foot.
And we'll both be real cool heroes.
They looked each other in the eyes, feeling kinship. The first to break the silence was Akiko.
I really didn't think we were similar in any way at first. But it seems we both do have the same goal at least.
Not like it matters how similar we are.
Kuraiko waved her hand dismissively.
We're friends now, right?
What makes you think that?
We had one of those deep talks and you're cool. What else would there be to it?
Akiko could not wrap her head around how Kuraiko could see her as a friend. She hadn't even helped in the previous fight. What could she bring to the table? Kuraiko grew tired of waiting for an answer.
Do you not see me as a friend? We're already in the same class and flew together. What else would we need to do?
She crossed her arms, looking at the ground in thought, till suddenly her face lit up like a light bulb going on above her head.
I know! We have to get that teriyaki!
What?
Sharing food is the best way to solidify friendship!
That explanation does not make any sense.
You'll see! Let's go and eat!
Kuraiko already jumped into the air, ready to finally get to the teriyaki stand.
Hey, wait! Are you sure you are alright? You did take pretty big hits earlier.
Akiko exclaimed, seeing some bloody scratches at the underside of Kuraiko's tail. The dragon girl scoffed.
Of course I am! What if a man like the rock guy could never deal true damage to me?
Akiko had her doubts, but let the subject go for now. She could take a closer look once they had their food. This whole fiasco had made her quite hungry anyway.
If you say so. Let's go then. I'll show you where the stand is.
Kuraiko, still in the air, looked down at Akiko in wonder.
How did you know that I didn't know the way from here?
The question made the orange-haired girl smile smugly.
I did not fly the direct way to the stand earlier, since I wanted to see if you'd follow me or win by going the straight route there. When you went after me, it was pretty obvious that you did not know directions.
Man, you really are one of those smartasses. But at least you're finally honest. Sure, lead the way, Red Stripe Girl.
Hey, that's still not my name. You can call me Aki. Short and easy.
Cool, Aki it is then.
Hearing someone use her nickname made Akiko feel all warm inside. No one except her nanny had ever used it. She nodded in satisfaction before transforming into a white-throated needletail once again and taking to the skies. Kuraiko was following close behind her. It might not have been on Akiko's life plan to make a friend on the first day of hero school, but this one time she sure was happy about things going differently than expected.